I know I'm totally in a minority, but I've got on record multiple times saying that I actually don't mind Love Never Dies. And yes, definitely in a minority. Pretty much every internet critic, podcaster, YouTuber, general theatre goer literally hates this musical. And I can totally see why some parts, I admit, are dumb. But I think there's lots to enjoy in it as well. If you want to see more of my thoughts, I've done a 4-part review of the London version and a 2-part version of the Blu-ray release, although I believe YouTube's took some or all of it down, but there are elements that I enjoy. And I admit, yeah, maybe it isn't so great, but making a great sequel to the original Phantom of the Opera musical was, let's face it, a virtually impossible task. It had this sort of kind of open-ended ending where the Phantom didn't die, but really the story was kind of done. Definitely the whole Christine, Raoul, Eric triangle was done. She left the Phantom and went off with Raoul, end of story. So really any continuation of that is probably really not going to be very satisfying and leave you with a result that, well, people hate. But my challenge to anyone who criticises this show is, yeah, but could you do any better? And that's something I ask myself when I criticise things. I've set myself various writing challenges to try and improve problematic Phantom adaptations. So you might have seen also on my channel I've done ones like fixing the Dario Argento version, fixing the Herbert Lom version. I've given a pitch of how I would do some sort of modern day dark universe Marvel version of Phantom of the Opera or whatever. And today I thought I'd give myself a pretty hefty challenge, fixing Love Never Dies. And like with all my previous versions, I don't try and claim that what I'm creating here, the outline is actually any good, but I would always argue that it is probably better than what we ended up with. So I'll see if you agree with me, see if you don't. Comment below. Now, Love Never Dies has been workshopped, cut, had stuff cut out, had put stuff put back in, totally reworked, rejiggered, rebooted a number of times by Lloyd Webber. So I'm going to, if you would indulge me, imagine that he sees me as some kind of expert and he says, Phantom Reviewer, come and reboot Love Never Dies for a new Broadway edition or whatever. And you've got unlimited power to reshape it as you wish to make it a more satisfying thing, but just keep most of my music in, okay? Yeah, cheers, Lloyd Webber, thanks. So let's go right back to the source. Let's look at Frederick Forsyth's book and see if there are any elements of that I might want to keep. No, I didn't like any of it, literally hated that book, and my thoughts on that book are well known. I hated it much more than Love Never Dies. The only kind of, if I had a gun pointed to my head and I had to say something positive, I would say I like the idea of the Phantom no longer living below street level, but being in this airy, high above Manhattan. I thought that was a neat inversion, but apart from that, I hated every last bit of that story. So let me just think of things that I actually really like in Love Never Dies that I would definitely want to keep. And some of the things I like are things that other people don't like. The characterization. I like Drunk Raoul. I probably would turn him down a touch, but I actually think it's realistic that a person of the aristocracy 10 years on would maybe not be as charming and handsome and wonderful as Christine first thought, and many relationships do sour, and I believe that him having a drinking and gambling problem is fairly realistic. And let's face facts, he's got to have something wrong with him, hasn't he? Because otherwise, why would Christine go back to the Phantom? The whole romance dynamic would not work if Raoul was handsome and wonderful all the time. So yeah, let's keep that he is a gambling loser. I kind of like that Meg Sheary has been kind of turned into a fangirl and totally obsessed over the Phantom and would do anything for him, and even degrading herself. I like that idea. I think there's some mileage in that, and I would keep that. However, I would transfer her character traits elsewhere. I don't like Madame Giry and Meg being in this. There doesn't seem to be much point for it. It's just like bringing two characters who were, minor in the original and just bringing them over for some reason. I get why they did it, but it doesn't really work for me. I didn't like Madame Giry having authority over the Phantom in the London version. And she seems like a really key figure in Act 1, and then they just kind of get rid of her in Act 2, and it all comes back, but in an unsatisfying way. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do with Meg Giry later. I love the dark freak show aesthetic and the three freaks. I'd probably get rid of one of those. I'll tell you more about that later. I absolutely love Beauty Underneath, and most of the songs, to be honest, are good. Lyrics aren't great to them. Plot that they service is not great, but we'll try and keep as many songs as possible. One key thing that I would definitely get rid of is the whole Gustav being the Phantom's son thing. The whole setup and reason behind Beneath a Moonless Sky. Get rid of it. I hate it. I think most people hate it. It doesn't work for me. A lot of telling and not showing. Not that I particularly wanted to be shown what happens in that anyway. But yeah. So with all those elements in play, let me tell you how I would rejig the whole thing. I think I would start with a cool opening prologue scene. I'd probably have Christine and Raoul coming off the boat in you know, like the scene in the original, and maybe she's come to sing at some opera house or other for Hammerstein or Rogers or whoever it is that called her over, like in the original. They're just admiring and sightseeing, and they're probably a bit more in love in this version than they were in the other one. And then as they come off the boat, they are stopped by Dr. Gangle. Now, I would make Dr. Gangle a much more important figure in this. He's still a servant of the Phantom, but I see him more of a kind of P.T. Barnum kind of character. Like, he is a showman. He runs most of Phantasma's circus. He is the front man. He does a lot of the concerts, a lot of the stuff that has to be seen by people. He is like the centerpiece for that. But he is still subservient to the Phantom, who comes up with all the grand designs and runs all the business behind the scenes. So he spots Christine, and Christine, of course, is a very famous opera singer, so he knows exactly who she is, and he knows the Phantom's interest in her. The Phantom does not yet know that Christine has come to America. So Dr. Gangle thinks, I can do a good job for my boss here, and yeah, let's lure these suckers in. So as part of our introduction, we would have a version of the Coney Island Waltz where we get to show off Phantasma. We can have that whole, are you ready to begin? Are you ready to get on? That whole thing. And then maybe, we've got to have the Beauty Underneath in there. I think Beauty Underneath would fit really well here as part of the opening prologue, like a really spectacular kick-ass opening. But part of me thinks it's such a good song that maybe it belongs with the Phantom. It's like a Phantom seduction song, and I love that song dearly, even though I don't really think the Phantom should have been seducing a young boy. So I could give it to Dr. Gangle, but let's try and use the bulk of the song later. Then the continuity would kind of follow similar to the London production. We'd have that Only For You song, but instead of having Meg Geary as a chorus girl, I'm actually changing it, and I'm going to give more character arc to Miss Fleck. Miss Fleck will be like a showgirl. I'm kind of visualising her a bit like the Annie Wheeler out of Greatest Showman. Like, she's a trapeze artist. Maybe she's got a facial disfigurement. I'm not sure. I think that'd be quite cool if she did. Definitely something freaky about her. And it's established that she is friends with Dr. Gangle. Maybe they're brother and sister. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. But we establish through this song that she is totally all about the Phantom. The Phantom is shadowy and behind the scenes, and nobody really knows much about him. He has this aura of mystery, but she really wants to meet the man and love the man, and she's sure that he would love her because she's talented and got similar facial deformities. I don't know. Maybe she wears like a little half mask. That'd be cool. Then we would jump to the airy scene where the Phantom has got his Bobo Christine. You know, I don't mind that. I think it shows his patheticness and how he really hasn't got over Christine, which I think is realistic to his character. And I think we'd have him like in states of depression. Like, Dr. Gangle is running pretty much everything for him. He's in a creative slump, and he will sing Till I Hear You Sing Once More, which is arguably the best song in Love Never Dies, so we'll keep that largely intact. And then at the end of that, I'd like to show that Dr. Gangle has been watching him, and he sort of sees Eric with his little Christine sex bot, and there's a bit of a power dynamic going on here. Eric's trying to make out that he's totally over Christine, and you know, it doesn't matter. But Dr. Gangle explains that he has seen Christine and that she's in New York, and he knows what hotel she's in, and you know, would that interest him, kind of thing. And it's kind of left dangling in the air. We don't know what he's going to do just yet. Then we'll probably cut to the hotel. Maybe we'll have a version of What a Dreadful Town, but maybe they do have like a little bit of an argument. Maybe it's kind of a mirroring of the Apollo's Lyre thing. So like instead of All I Ask of You, maybe it's like an inverted one where it's kind of like an argument and they list all the things that's not working about their relationship. But then when Raoul leaves, perhaps with Gustav or whatever, we can establish that the Phantom has been watching all along. And then, dramatic entrance. We will absolutely not be having Beneath a Moonless Sky here. We could probably keep the music and maybe we'll have like a really nice song about how he feels about Christine and basically offering, join my world or whatever. I don't know. He can give her riches and power and the whole world will love her or something. So at this point it's pretty clear like Christine's having none of it. She's going to stay faithful to Raoul and she's not really interested in this creep from 10 years ago. They have no romantic connection, there's no that long ago night and all that stuff. He's just been turned down again, which is pretty sad and perhaps subverts the expectations of the audience who think this is going to go somewhere. So we can slip back into classic Phantom of the Opera, where he has to use his evil, conniving ways to manipulate people and get what he wants. So now I've been racking my brains where to put Beauty underneath. Like I said, it's a really good seduction song, and I think it should be the Phantom seducing a woman. So I think finally this is the time when he turns his attention to Miss Fleck, and he actually brings her up to the Airy and shows off all his cool stuff, and she is absolutely loving it. He seduces her with Beauty underneath, maybe even hints that he gets into some kind of physical relationship with her, but really he's not interested in her. He's just using her as a tool, and he is using Dr. Gangle as a tool. Now, of course, in this one, the Phantom cannot approach Raoul directly, so this is why Dr. Gangle is of importance. In a way, I'm thinking this is almost like he's using Dr. Gangle as a real-world avatar, a bit like what happens in Song at Midnight, Phantom Lover. The real Phantom cannot really move from his Airy, so he has to have a person in the real world to do all his bidding for him. Maybe that minimises the Phantom's character a bit too much, but I think in Love Never Dies it kind of goes the other way a bit too far. So I think we should have that song, Why Does She Love Me? I like that song, it's pretty good. And Devil Take the Hindmost is also an excellent song. This time Dr. Gangle sings it and he is like not so much luring him into the same kind of bargain, but he's befriends a slightly drunken Raoul, offers him to show him the sights, and this is more about the corruption of Raoul as a character, that when he goes to Coney Island, like everyone who goes to Coney Island is corrupted in some way or another. So Raoul starts off reasonably decent, but he makes a really bad friend in Dr. Gangle, and through this song, Devil Take the Hindmost, which will be rejigged, he shows him all the lewd sights of Coney Island. So really by now you should be able to tell that Eric has somehow promised Miss Fleck love or attention or whatever if she does this one thing for her, which is like, it's part of a long con really, just to corrupt Raoul. And the same with Dr. Gangle, maybe he's promised more wealth or more position, or that he will have Phantasma when the Phantom moves on. And then I think like the end game of this con is that Eric will manoeuvre a situation so that Christine finds Raoul in a compromising position, perhaps with Miss Fleck, or he's wasted all his money, he's drunk and he's like screwing Miss Fleck or something, and that basically he wants to corrupt Raoul in such a way that the relationship is over. Christine cannot live with Raoul anymore and she gets rid of him. And he thinks that's then going to leave the way open for him to step in again. But so all this happens and it just like totally ruins Christine's life and everything's awful and it doesn't work out for him again. Like then we get to the awkward ending, which I don't, but maybe like, I don't know, maybe her life has been so devastated that she has no choice really but to accept the Phantom's offer and sing in Phantasma just for like a big fat paycheck because Raoul blew all his money or something. But like the end result is there is no like happy love moment at the end where Christine says like, oh, you know what, I do love the Phantom. Maybe it looks like it's going to go that way, but then maybe Miss Fleck shows up at the end and like reveals the whole scam and like everything just blows up in everybody's face. Maybe Miss Fleck like at the end of the performance sets fire to the whole theatre and like destroys everything he has loved and shoots Christine, and like he's left alone in the ruins of his burning phantasma. Yeah, I mean that's like a real downer ending, isn't it? This is a hard ending to write. Like, can you come up with a better one? I kind of like the first 3/4 of my story, and then I can't find a good ending for it. What did you think? I'm not claiming it's great. It's probably actually a pretty lousy sequel, but again, with what you start with and what you end up like, can you do any better? Can you come up with a more satisfying sequel to The Phantom of the Opera? If you can, I'd love to see it below. I'd love to know what you thought of mine. I don't think Lloyd Webber's going to be banging down my door anytime soon. But if you're watching this, Lloydie, I'm open to offers. Okay, so that's all for me for now. Just want to give a quick shout out to my patrons who are on patreon.com/Phantom Reviews. They are Feather Elfstrom, Alyssa C, Grunkelzan, Eli, Christina Scott, Whiskey Baby, Jessica Emmas, David Warbeck, and Arden99. Well done, you guys are awesome, thanks for your support. And to all you other cheapskates, screw you! No, only joking, I love you really. Don't know when you'll hear from me again, as always. I'm not promising. Just every now and then, if I've got something to say, I'll say it. And if I haven't, then there will just be the eternal silence of nothingness, okay? So on that cheerful note, I'll see you guys later. Bye for now.